much. It's a pleasure to talk about mental health with creators because you all have this vulnerability that you share every day online, and it takes a certain mindset and a certain level of resilience and self-care. And breath work is a really powerful wellness modality that you can do in small moments every day to recalibrate your mood, your mindset, and your energy. And today I'm just going to share 3 breath practices that you can take home with you. And these are breath practices that will help you relax and calm your nervous system. So if you want to get really comfortable where you're sitting right now, and close your eyes, because notice how luxurious that can feel. We rarely close our eyes during the day, and let that sort of set a boundary to go inward, reconnect to yourself. And we're going to start with the physiological sigh. It is the fastest way to calm your nervous system. And it sounds like this. It's 2 parts on the inhale. You'll inhale through your nose and you fill up almost fully in your lungs. The second part, you completely fill your lungs, which feels really good because we often get stuck in that shallow, rapid chest breath, which actually causes low-grade chronic stress. So the physiological sigh, it sounds like this. So let's just do 2 of those together. And then you can just rest for a second. 1 more. And the next breath practice that we're going to do, it's called bumblebee breath or humming breath. When you hum, you activate the vagus nerve. It's spelled V-A-G-U-S. So, and the vagus nerve is responsible for calming and relaxing your nervous system. So humming breath sounds like this, and again, you can do it with your eyes closed. You'll inhale through your nose, and then for the entire length of the exhale, you make a humming, buzzing sound like this. So we'll do 1 or 2 of those. Inhaling and hum and buzz. And then just pause. See if you notice a difference in your body. Maybe in your mind, did you clear a little bit of headspace? We'll just do 1 more of those. Inhaling, exhaling, humming. Humming also generates nitric oxide in your nasal cavity, and that helps to dilate your blood vessels and get everything flowing a little bit better. The 3rd breath practice that I love for calming is to make your exhales twice as long as your inhales. So we'll just do it by feel. Again, you want to inhale always through the nose because it heats and it treats and it filters the air. And on your exhale, you can exhale through your nose or mouth, but just lean into the longest, slowest exhale that you can, because relaxation happens on those exhales. Let's just do 2 of these. Inhaling, long, slow exhale. See if your shoulders can move away from your ears. On this inhale, try smiling. It changes the biochemistry in your body. You can trick your body into thinking that you're happier. Exhale slowly. 1 more, just for the fun of it. Inhaling and exhaling. And that's it. Those are 3 simple calming breath practices that you can take home with you. Repeat often so that you can recalibrate your mood, your mindset, and your energy throughout the day. So thank you for breathing with me, and I look forward to the panel.
I was actually practicing that with all of you, and I just yawned a bunch, so I think I need some sleep. You know, what happens is you go from your sympathetic nervous system, your fight or flight, to your parasympathetic, rest and digest. Louis Cole in the house. Louis is an amazing creator. Give it up for Louis. I love like looking out in the audience and seeing friends I know and people I love. All right. I'm actually not just emceeing, but I'm moderating this panel. This is a subject matter that is near and dear to my heart. Throughout my journey as a content creator, I've had a lot of ups and downs, and it led me on my own mental health journey and personal growth and development. And I ended up starting a wellness organization called Peace Inside Live during the pandemic, where we were doing virtual classes. We ended up getting into corporate wellness. And more recently, we started an initiative called Creators for Mental Health. And my purpose and commitment of this initiative is to bring mental well-being tools to the creator economy. You know, a multi-billion-dollar economy built on the backs of creators who, as we know, none of us are taking care of ourselves. You know, it's hard because the industry is so up and down. So what can we do to support our well-being? It should be at the core of the industry, and that is really, you know, part of the work that I'm trying to do through advocacy and events and content and more cool stuff. So with that, I just wanted to use that as context for this conversation and why it's important to me. But I do want to introduce our incredible group of panelists joining us to each share their stories. We've got Gigi Robinson, founder and creator. It's Gigi LLC. Give it up for Gigi. Dylan Huey, CEO at Reach. Yes. And Chelsea Bear, content creator at Real Chelsea Bear. Come on down, Chelsea. Yeah, thank you. Amazing to have you each here. I am such fans of your work, of course, and I you know, we talk about this work. Yes. Do you want me to do here? I will. Strong and sturdy. Thank you. All right. Thank you. So, all right, each take a breath, another breath. So let's get into how, first the content you each create. Because sometimes it's not like you're known as a mental health creator necessarily, but you're advocates for mental health, and it's integrated in some of the content, the work you do. So Chelsea, I'll start with you. How did you get into content creation, and at what point did it lead into mental health?
Yes, so as you all saw, I have a disability. I have cerebral palsy, which is what I've had my entire life. And around 2020, when the pandemic started, and before that, I always felt that conversations around disability don't need to be uncomfortable. Everyone new I met kind of treated it like an elephant in the room, and that's what led me to start sharing my experiences as a disabled woman. And with that, I think comes hand in hand mental health, and you're being very vulnerable and sharing pieces of your health and your life online and having to deal with trolls and all of that. So I think my content just naturally took the direction of sharing what the mental health aspect of it is as well.
Awesome. Dylan?
Hey guys, I started off as a content creator when I was 14, 15 years old, live streaming on a platform called Musical.ly. I was doing like 5 hours a day live streaming, and my content back then was focused on empowering individuals to show them that there's others to relate to them, and around a world where, you know, in middle school, high school, you're getting bullied, you have all these, you know, other people around you, and that.
Can you put your mic like this? I just want to make sure people hear you. Yeah.
Oh, there we go. Okay. So started off, you know, making content, live streaming, got burnt out of social media, went to USC, and then found Snapchat. So now I do Snapchat content full time. I get 20 million views every day on Snapchat, posting about my life and living in Los Angeles while running a business at the same time.
Your business is a marketing agency for Gen Z.
Yes, I run a company called Reach, which started off as a student organization at USC back in 2017. Gigi over here was one of the first members before I was even at USC. Then,
yes, I did admit him.
Yes, I got in because of Gigi. So I joined fall 2020. took it over my sophomore year, turned it into a national influencer organization for influencers in college that is now in 75 universities with 3,000 students. And then we've grown it out to a marketing agency and a talent agency and a venture studio as well.
Awesome. Gigi.
Hi, everyone. Thanks so much for coming to this panel. I feel so lucky, first of all, to be up here with people that I've known for over 4 years through mental health and social media and just being a USC Trojan. So this is really exciting opportunity, and I'm so grateful to be here. I do content about a lot of different things. I've been focused more in the recent on helping creators build businesses as creators outside of their social media platforms. So how can they do public speaking and write books and be hosts like Shira, or be on panels like all of us. And so that's my latest and greatest, and I'm working on a manuscript, which is really exciting. But aside from that, I really started making content about chronic illness and health advocacy and the mental health aspect of dealing with a chronic illness, because I lived my life for so long trying to figure out what was wrong with me, and just 2 years ago I got diagnosed with endometriosis, but the journey to get there was really what I made my content about, and that's how I actually met people like Chelsea back in, I guess, like 2020, 2021 at that point, when kind of like we found this really cool intersection of disability rights, chronic illness rights, and mental health and mental illness advocacy, and kind of realizing they're all created and intertwined with one another. And also, as the main purpose that we're here, we've just been really focused on the business side of content creation and how challenging it can be to be an entrepreneur and to run a business and to also deal with the impact of social media every single day.
Yeah, I mean, these are all important things that we all deal with. We talk about it. Do you feel like platforms or the industry is helping? Chelsea.
I'll go first. I think things have gotten better, but as content creators, as we're all familiar, and people in the audience as well, I think it's still very new. And there's still a lot of side effects that come with it, especially mental health and what that has been dealing with. I think the ability to block, if I'm dealing with a lot of trolls or negative comments, I used to try to combat it and go back and forth a little bit, and I still do if it really means something to me to do that, but I think I've also let go and have accepted that blocking is okay to do. And yeah, I think some of the platforms can do a little bit better in terms of fielding negative comments, but I think they're starting to put efforts like blocking keywords and certain triggers that may get to us as creators, which is a small step in the right direction.
Yeah. Not responding is huge for your mental health.
Yes.
Right? Like just being like, no, don't need to get into a
Yeah.
toxic back and forth with this individual who seems not there. It's interesting with Meta, the changes Meta announced, like how that will impact mental health. Right? What are your thoughts on that, Dylan, as a marketing company and a creator?
I think it's interesting. I don't really know why they did that whole change, where, if you guys don't know, Meta just made an announcement that they are no longer fact-checking content, and it's going to be based off of the community now. I don't keep up with the platforms as a creator myself. I think in general, the social media space is very self-isolating. You're making content by yourself. You're posting content by yourself. In my opinion, there's a lot that platforms can do. There's a lot that platforms are working towards doing to advocate for mental health. It's definitely interesting because I grew up in the social media space since I was little. So I've been surrounded by this, since I was 14, where I think a lot of influencers have grown and started, post-pandemic, and that's when they really started getting big on social media. So I see social media and how platforms, are adapting a little bit differently from the average person, because I have a very different mindset of being a young kid on social media, having a following, having an audience, having people, anonymously comment on my content and react to it and engage with my content.
So yeah, what is your take on that then? Because you have a different take and experience.
I think that Meta should fact check things.
not on Meta, but in general on and what you're seeing and how to deal with it.
How to deal with it. It's interesting. I got burnt out of social media for 2 years, and I stopped making content. What I really encourage people to do in general is to find a community on social media where you can really collaborate, connect with others. Gigi and Chelsea, for example, we're able to, find a group and a community in the social media space around what they're doing, and having their fans advocate for that, but as well finding other creators in the same niche who are equally as passionate to encourage each other to really stay active, engaged. No matter what the platforms do, you always have that aspect of community that's always going to be there.
That becomes your backbone. Social media
100%.
isn't the backbone. Gigi,
Yeah.
you've been very vulnerable about things going on in your life, your mental health. What does it take to do that in a world on these platforms when you could get a lot of different types of responses?
Yeah, so this is a great question because I recently just went through a big surgery. I got a breast reduction. Let's address that elephant in the room.
Congratulations.
And with that, I got a lot of comments about body image and people asking me why I did it. But obviously the reason was a medical reason. It was because I was living with chronic pain. So I don't really care, quite frankly, what these people that are saying ridiculous things about how they wish I kept it one way and I was a certain way a couple years ago when I was in Sports Illustrated, and they really, really liked that, so they didn't want me to change that. But at the end of the day, it's me and my life, and what I post online is just what I post online. It's my work. Similarly to the way Dylan was talking about it, I have a really clear differentiation between, if you want to talk to me as my friend, you can text me. We text. Like, hopefully, Chelsea, we can start texting. I FaceTime my friends. I call my friends. I meet up with them in person. I do not hang out with my friends on social media. Social media is for business. And another thing, just to kind of piggyback on the question that you were asking Chelsea in terms of the trolls and the comments and all of these things, I always try to compare our workplace environment as content creators working for ourselves more so to an in-person workplace. If you have feedback you need on a project, think about how many people would be looking or giving you that feedback. Usually you can count them on your hand. Usually it's your direct manager or your colleague or colleagues. Usually, again, can count that on your hand. But when you're a creator, you're opening that can of worms to anyone and everybody on the internet, and that piece is scary. But if you know that, you can have a mindset shift where you're like, this is my work. These people's opinions, like, they are not professionals, they are not my colleagues, they're just people that exist. And if you do choose to look at the comments, look at it in a way that hopefully can be productive and can help you filter out either what's working or what's not working. And again, in terms of the what's working and not working, I'm not talking about cyberbullying comments. I'm more so talking about, like, does your audience resonate more so with one niche or a different niche or a different kind of vlog video or an interview video you're reposting? So I kind of use the comment section actually for data.
Yeah, I like that. Like shifting, like knowing which comments to look at for data versus like, you're just a mean person. I don't need to listen to you. Let's talk about mindset. I think mindset is really key when it comes to keeping sane in this industry. How do you maintain your mindset? What does mindset mean to you, Chelsea?
Similar to Gigi, I think it's very important to separate what's shared on social media and what's your own personal experience to keep to yourself. And I think for my mindset, I am naturally a very optimistic, happy person, and I hope that comes across in my content. But I think it's important that I'm creating and sharing from a place that is just that I'm showing up as myself and who I want to be, and not who everyone online thinks that I should be or should be doing. So that's been really important for me to maintain, and I've been talking about it a little bit recently, how I found myself struggling a bit because I was kind of letting that noise in, and I felt that I was starting to create from a place of doing things to create versus creating for things I'm already doing. And I've taken the time to slow down, work on myself, make sure that I'm setting correct boundaries with my relationship and social media. So that way I can have a strong mindset and create stuff that I'm proud of. Again, for me, hope it resonates with my audience, but I think at the end of the day, the people that follow you for a reason because of who you are and what you bring to the table. So it's really important to just do those regular check-ins and make sure you're showing up as yourself in the best way you can.
Do you actually check in? Like, do you have a journaling practice, or like, what is that?
Yeah, I've started journaling. I've started making sure I'm not on my phone as much as I was. And I think even to say, like, I've been muting some other creators that are in my space just so I'm not catching myself comparing. I was doing that a lot. And, I'll dedicate time, maybe an hour, to go check in on what my colleagues and friends are posting. But that way I'm just not inundated with it every single time I open my phone. And that's also been a really good thing for me to do, just, again, creating for myself and what I want to do and not comparing myself to what other people are doing in the space.
That's a really great tip. Sometimes you mute people that you don't like, but sometimes you got to mute people that you actually like, but you're like, but I keep being jealous of them and like comparison, and I need just a little break. Right? It's me, it's not them.
All love.
Right? Oh, I like that. What about you, Dylan? What does mindset mean to you, and how do you manage that?
Yeah, that's a good question. I grew up with a mindset that if I didn't love doing it, I wouldn't be doing it. And for me, I've been doing social media for 8+ years now. And social media is something that I wake up enjoying and excited to do. I started off, before I did social media, I was in music, and I was producing electronic dance music. And when I was doing that, I loved it at the beginning, stopped enjoying it, and completely stopped doing music because I didn't think, it was fun anymore, and it started to feel like work. For me, I always try to keep social media fun and something that is work, but at the same time doesn't really feel like work at the same time. It gets difficult because social media is a very 24/7 job compared to your standard 9 to 5. We don't go in the office, we make content. When we're outside, if we make a vlog at nighttime, that's still part of work. For me, since I live in Los Angeles, I go to a lot of influencer events and movie premieres, and I'm networking, hanging out with all of my creator friends. That's still work.
It's like the line is blurred because it feels fun.
It does, yeah.
But then you have to remember, like, this is still work, but like in the end, I would also maybe like just be in my PJs watching Netflix. So I think because that line is blurred, sometimes you don't know when you're overextending even.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And I think for me, it's been good in the last year and a half because I don't feel like I need to go to every single influencer event anymore, and I don't get that sense of FOMO on social media and watching other people's content and getting jealous that they went to this premiere or this event or they got to speak at CES this year. I really just focus now on how can I make myself the best person possible? How can I make my content the best? I want to make content that I enjoy making, and I hope that other people resonate with it at the same time.
I want to know how you get that as such a youngin'. I'm not ageist anyway. Good family. His parents are here. They're a good family. Family helps, let me tell you. What about you, Gigi? Mindset.
I do a couple different things. I love Sandy's breathwork practice. I'm a huge breathwork fan. She's amazing. Bowing down to Sandy. I've been doing breath work for a couple of years now, and most recently I have been leaving my phone in the living room or like in the kitchen about like 8 o'clock at night, and I don't look at it until about 9 o'clock in the morning. So that has actually been really helpful to help me just stay disconnected in a world where everybody always wants to get a hold of you, and the same way that people are going to view their unsolicited comments and in a negative way, even just the influx of content and information that we're processing is so much more than your average person who is not on social media, and even like before social media. And because of that, I think it's important to give yourself the space to not be online and to not compare, but also I try to remind myself, instead of like the fear of missing out, I try to think about the joy of missing out.
Well, you know me,
Yeah.
Jomo, I
Yeah.
created a journal called the Jomo Journal, just plugging. You could buy it now at peaceinside.live/Jomo Journal. Link in my bio. Shira Lazar, follow me on social media.
And also just thinking about and working with other creators. So I constantly am, like Chelsea said, not only muting people, but I'm actually intentionally seeking out and curating the people that I'm following and the people that I'm looking at. So sometimes, like Chelsea was saying, it will be less creators and it'll be more motivational speakers or doctors that I'm interested in or that I've heard on a podcast, because that's the information that I'm actually more interested in my personal life and my personal development, which will then help me become a better creator. There are times where I'm spending time exclusively dedicated to looking at other people in my field, seeing what they're doing and seeing how I could evolve and be better. But I do think it takes both of those dedicated moments in order for you to evolve as a creator. And also, I would say that evolving as a creator is not just changing your content one day, going from being a fashion influencer to waking up and being like, I want to go travel now. There's so much more that goes into that. And also, in terms of the impact on your mental health, if you're a fashion creator and all of a sudden you're starting to travel and you're posting travel content, but your audience is following you for fashion content and your engagement is going down, your mental health is obviously not going to be good because you're not performing as well. And if you're not performing as well, the brands aren't going to come to you. You're not going to get as many brand deals. After you don't get as many brand deals, you're going to be like, shit, why did I quit my 9-to-5 job? Oh my God.
It's like the downward spiral.
Exactly. But how can we do that in the opposite way? And the opposite way is by taking the time to step away from social media. I just mentioned I had surgery. I was offline for almost 3 weeks. It gave me so much clarity. I spoke with Sandy. I did some breath work. I meditated. I was reading. I was listening to podcasts. I was just not at all doing keeping up. And it was so recharging, and that's just a big thing that I encourage everybody, whether you're a creator or you're an agent in the industry, to just take a step back for a sec.
I love that. These are all such important points, which I love, because you've been hearing a lot of strategies of content creation, but this is part of the strategy. This is just as important, even more so, because this is the foundation. The rest builds from there. And by the way, the rest can also get destroyed from there. But if you have this and who you are and your sense of self and your value systems, and you understand who you are and what brings you joy, that is what you build from.
Can I add something?
Yes, Dylan, you are here.
Thank you. Well, going off of what Shira just said about foundation, I think mental health is so important, because we hear time and time again about creators getting burnt out of the space and never being seen again. And being able to maintain your mental health helps increase your productivity, and thus make sure you have a long time in the creator space so that you can continue to thrive, but as well be happy with what you're doing and what you're building as a content creator yourself.
How do you deal with, though, those ups and downs of the algorithm, or being hot one moment and then maybe being not?
You just have to persist. It's like life right now, and everything that we're seeing happening on social media and all these videos of the horrific wildfires happening in California. This is what we're going through right now, and maybe in a couple of years we'll look back and we'll have learned from it and we'll have evolved and grown and had a plan. And in the same way, I think creators do have to think about this. And also, on that note, just in terms of actual consumption and what we're consuming, I think that mental health in general, we throw around this term, it's just that we're not spending enough time involving ourselves in research and how the content that we're consuming is affecting us. Also, the pace in which creators have to churn out content and keep up with creating content, staying in the limelight, going to red carpets, going to events. And if you step out of that, what's going to happen? And so, again, it is just kind of like riding a wave. It's going to go up and down. It's like the stock market. But I do think if you want to succeed, you have to commit to persisting, and you do have to have a contingency plan for yourself, and savings and things like that. So that's really helpful, or have your parents to lean back on if you can, or friends. So that's what I would recommend.
So I think financial education and thinking about revenue streams and diversifying is just as important to mental health. Right. So, and I would love to hear from you, Chelsea, in terms of how you deal with ups and downs. But for me, it was about using my expertise, saying, okay, I'm really good at this. This is what the world needs. This is what I like doing, kind of ikigai vibes. But also figuring out, okay, that means I might make money from speaking, emceeing, means I make money from core content, might mean I make money from brand deals. But those things fluctuate up and down as you go. We're in many ways entrepreneurs and small businesses. I think when you start looking at yourself as a creator, as an entrepreneur, you can get over these humps of like what we're all hitting, right? Because you hear about the 1%, the Mr. Beast and all that. You're like, well, I'm not that. So what am I? Right? Sometimes that happens. How do you deal with that, Chelsea?
Yeah, I think, when I started this, it was all unexpected, and I knew nothing about having a business and didn't know that I was going to need to learn everything about having a business. And I think a part of that, especially with content creation, is having the understanding, kind of piggybacking off of what Gigi said. It is a wave. Things do go up and down, and just identifying and having kind of like the realization that it's okay that you're not constantly just on an upward trajectory, because I don't think that's realistic for anyone. If you think of the most established business in the world or a startup, you're going to have rough years, you're going to have hard days, you're going to have easier days. And I think, to think that your content is consistently going to go viral every time is just not good for anyone. And I think, identifying if you need help, asking for help, hiring help, creating a team around you of people that can support you, whether it is just to talk through problems or to have them deal with the financial side of things, or having a manager that can deal with the brand back and forth. You as an individual cannot do it all, and I think I learned that the hard way at the beginning, trying to do it all, and I burnt myself out very quickly. Where now that I do have a team around me that still has opportunity to grow, I still can use some help, but I've identified that, and I'm okay with having some times when my content doesn't do the best, and just know that the believing in my content so much that when it does perform well, that it was worth kind of the wait to get there.
I think piggybacking off of what Chelsea just said, it's really important as you scale as a content creator to know who you want to bring onto your team. And people often ask, who should I bring on to my team? Should it be a videographer? Should it be an editor? Should it be a manager? Should it be an agent? And all of those are amazing options to be your first employee, your second employee, third employee. I always recommend find what you hate doing as part of your job and delegate it to someone else, because for creators, you're two things. You're a human and you're a business, right? And that's where, if you're thinking of a normal startup, that's where it's a little different. It's just a business at all. And now you have that aspect of, making sure that you are able to delegate to build your own identity and your brand and build it up. So for me, I hated editing, so I hired an editor, and that was the first position that I hired. I love doing the business side of social media, so I've never had a manager, because I love doing the emails and responding to the copy and building my own strategy and baseline on that side. But I really found what I didn't want to do and delegated.
Yeah, that's super smart. I want to open up for questions here. Anyone have a question before we wrap things up? Questions? All right. Oh, we got a quiet yet engaged group. Oh, yes. Oh, Sandy, come on. All right. Yes, you can ask a question if you want to quickly. What are your self-care practices? And you kind of shared, but each of you, self-care practices. Do you want to, Gigi, and then we'll go?
Sure. I have two really cute dogs. My dog Zeke, he's an influencer. You can follow him. It's Mr. Zeke. He's very cute, very hilarious. And I also have another one that makes cameos named Trixie, and they're really cute together. So dedicating time to doing that has been really fun, because it's really been building a platform that has no limitations. I can just post cute photos and videos of my animals, and even though he does have a following and brands do send him things, I don't see his account as a business right now, and I've been enjoying that. But aside from that, the dog park, walks in the morning, I'm huge on the sauna, cold plunge, ice bath thing, meditation, breath work, journaling here and there. I'm getting into reading more. I'm big into audiobooks, but I need to physically be in the book and dedicate a lot more time to that. And again, just anything I can do offline is really helpful and healing. I've also been doing different pottery and art classes, just to kind of explore and scratch the creative itch in a way that's more physical and not at all about social media. But of course, I do end up setting up my phone and taking photos and videos of the process to be like, oh, maybe I'll do a pottery influencer video. So, you know, it's really
Sponsored
never ending.
by pottery brands.
Let me take a video of my red light. Let me take a video of my journaling. Yeah,
I do that
it's
too.
Always,
and then
it's
you're
always
kind of
there.
like, does this defeat the purpose?
Yeah,
but
it
sometimes
does.
it's all, yeah. It's sometimes I just do it at the beginning for a few seconds,
Right.
and I'm like, all right, I did it. Now I'm
Okay,
in.
yeah,
like,
exactly.
Quick.
That's it.
Yeah.
I
It's okay if you don't have
I'm
any
trying to think.
self-care.
I do. Well, first and foremost, I think I'm interesting because I don't consume too much social media and what other people are posting. So first and foremost, I think that's very relieving for me as a content creator. I just when I make content, I just post and do what I love. And you know, I watch some of my friends' content, but I don't go out and explore content too often. I use Sundays a ton just to catch up before the week, and I use that as an entire day to just make sure I'm caught up on emails, have a zero inbox, and set myself up for that.
Self-care is to work more. Wise words of Dylan.
Well, then,
No, it seems like time management, like finding
yes.
spots for time
So
management versus
Monday, when normal people who are in a 9-to-5 job are stressed out about getting to work and catching up on all their emails and responding, I don't have that burden to be, to have to deal with that. So those are kind of me on that side. I also go to the gym a ton, play tennis like 3 to 4 times a week, which is good. I also just wrote a book like 2 months ago about kind of mindfulness and self-care. It's over here.
Yes, promotion.
It's called Leave the Feed, and it's basically a journal for 30 days for a month about how to make sure you're off social media and building relationships in person. I have a copy for all of you guys afterwards, so a free copy.
Oh my God, it's like Oprah here.
So there's a free copy. Find me afterwards. But this has been really helpful, just in general, for me to utilize it to realize that not everything that I do has to be on social media. It can also be offline as well.
I love that. Chelsea?
I love that too, and I think I just have to echo what both of them said. I've been really focusing on doing as much things offline as possible, leaving my phone in the other room. Maybe it's something as simple as trying a new recipe and cooking and doing something with my hands where I'm not just scrolling on social media. I've been trying to read more, a good mix of fictional and nonfiction, so I'm learning but also escaping reality a bit with the physical book in my hand. Just as much as I can, not being on my phone has been really, really helpful.
I think it's, go, Gigi.
I was just going to say, it may sound like a normal thing, like, oh yeah, just go off your phone. If you are a normal person whose job, it doesn't involve being on your phone for 8 to 12 hours a day, it feels really good to just leave your phone and leave everything away. But then again, unless you have the work phone and the personal phone, it's also can be a hard differentiator between cutting off your family and your friends and anybody that's trying to reach out to you to talk to you and just taking care. But yeah, it's
Well, I think from today, the themes are that one, I think the foundation is knowing yourself, taking care of yourself, and trying to bring back the fun into it. But the trends around disconnecting, connecting with yourself IRL, with others IRL, getting off your phone as a way to create better stuff on your phone. Right? And I think we're going to see this more and more, the power of IRL communities, IRL connections, as much as we are in a virtual follower world. That is really going to be the future. So I hope that encourages all of you, whether you have a ton of followers or not a lot of followers, that who you are as a person is meaningful. The gifts and what you feel and think and your experiences are meaningful, and it's about the expression and what that means in the world, whether it be online or offline, that matters. And thank you. And with that, we've wrapped up this great conversation. Give it up for our panelists here today. Thank you for taking time, for this really important topic today to be here. It really means a lot to me. I also am starting a Creators for Mental Health newsletter, more events across the country. So if you want to stay up to date with that, if we're going to be in a city near you, we'll be in hopefully San Francisco, LA, New York, Atlanta, everywhere. Sign up for the newsletter. You can just DM me on my Instagram. I could send you a link to sign up for that newsletter, Shira Lazar. And if you want to collaborate more on Creators for Mental Health, let me know. Have a great rest of your CES, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
And get a book from Dylan.
Yes, please come get a book. Please follow Gigi, Chelsea.
Yeah, follow
myself,
everyone.
Shira, make sure to follow us. LinkedIn, Snapchat, Instagram, TikTok, wherever you go on social media.
There you go. Thank you, Dylan. And coming up, we are continuing. We have one more session before we wrap, monetizing your creator journey. So stick around for that at 3 p.m. in 10 minutes. Thank you.